Drawing something that looks good, that is recognizable, and is just plain enjoyable to look at is easier than you think. I'm asked questions about drawing more often than you'd think for a watercolor channel. Like, do I need to know how to draw in order to watercolor? And how do I draw? I just can't get it. I can't draw. That was less a question and more an exclamation of complete and utter frustration, and I get that a lot too. But stick with me, because I've got a few tips, and they're not what you think, but they will indeed get you to a place where you're drawing something really cute, really fun, and really recognizable in no time flat. No time flat? Where did that come from? That's from like 1987. Let's do this. First up, simplify, simplify, simplify. Here's the thing. If you've tried sketching at least once, you've probably run into the advice about basic shapes. So if we're talking about the leaf that I'm drawing now, it kind of looks like a teardrop with some sort of a point on each end instead of it being rounded on one and pointy only on the other. So there, we have the teardrop. It's a basic shape, but where do we go from here? How do we turn the teardrop into this curious-looking leaf that has folds and curves and twists and turns? The secret answer, secret because no one's really teaching this right now, is that you don't look at all those details. You don't notice all the curves. Well, you notice them, but you don't try to draw them all the folds, all the bumps, all the ridges. They're not all information that your sketch needs in order to be convincing. So as I begin sketching here, you can obviously see my teardrop, and that's actually an oversimplification of what I actually saw in real life when I was holding the plant. But for me, this looks good, and this looks convincing of what it is that I'm actually drawing. Because when someone else is looking at your artwork, their brain has already simplified what they think a pot of leaves looks like. And unless you're going all the way realistic and getting every twist and turn and curve and proportion and all of those spatial relationships just so, you're probably just going to end up creating a wonky looking leaf-like thing. Versus what I'm doing here, which is exploring the basic shapes, giving them some bumps and some wiggles and some personality with my sketching tool, but not really worrying about making them all accurate to the subject matter. Now, while I'm still sketching these leaves, and by the way, this is called an aglaonema lotus, something or other, in case you were wondering. Number 2, we need to think about a good view. This is perhaps the most important drawing tip I'm going to give you today. Choose a view that is not going to set yourself up for failure. What do I mean? A top-down view. Pretend you're a bird flying in the sky and you're looking down on this beautiful aglaonema leaf, and that is what you're sketching, along with the aforementioned simplifying. You're going to be golden. Side views of anything. Just think about the first time you tried to paint or draw a rose from a side view because it's just so lovely. You probably wanted to pull your creative hair out really quickly. And without getting too sciencey, because you know me and science, when a viewer's brain is looking at a subject matter that they're familiar with, like a rose or like a leaf, they usually don't imagine it, at least I don't, from a side angle or some similarly complicated angle. They imagine it as a single leaf, as a single bud, usually top down. Or at least with most of the petals, let's say with that rose, facing towards themselves. So again, you try to go and create all of the detail of a side angle, a 3/4 view, and things get messy fast. So as you can see here, as I'm wrapping up my sketch of these leaves, I stuck with a pretty straightforward top-down view. And is it realistic? No. But do they look like really funky leaves that have kind of the vibe of my subject matter in real life? Absolutely. My third tip for you today, stop looking. That's right. Take a good look at your subject matter. If you're lucky enough to be drawing from something that's in front of you in real life, don't keep your eyes on the prize for too long. And you're probably like, is she seriously telling me not to look up at what I'm drawing? Yep, I am. So let me explain. I'm working on this beautiful leaf. It's all shades of orange and it's got a really funky shape. And yeah, I looked at this plant for a hot minute at the beginning stages of this sketch. And I kind of took a mental snapshot. And then I might have glanced over a few times, especially when I started painting here. And I just wanted to get a essential sense of where the greens were more concentrated and where the oranges were more concentrated. But that lasted all of like 30 seconds with some 10-second glances after the fact. If you're really wanting to simplify, the best thing you can do is not get hyper focused on your subject matter. Let your brain and your lifetime of assumptions about what something looks like actually play in your favor here. Let all those assumptions fill in the blanks. Because the alternative is you looking up, looking back, trying to fix this, getting the eraser out, erasing, and the next thing you know, you almost have a hole in your paper and you're so frustrated, doing laundry looks like the more exciting option. Trust your brain. Don't look at that subject matter for too long or too often. Let your beautiful creative brain fill in the gaps as you try to simplify what you're putting on paper. Number 4, less is so much more. This beautiful peachy orange leaf could captivate me for quite a while. I could get lost in all the little speckles and spatters and how they mingle with one another. And is it pink or peach or coral? And how do I mix the colors? And you see where I'm going here. All of that observation, all of those details soaked in from staring at your subject matter for a time are awesome. Nothing wrong with it. I encourage you. But do all of those details, all of those nuances need to make it all on the paper all at once in order for this leaf to really look winning? No. Sorry, I'm getting sassy now because I'm passionate about this because we try to stuff way too much into our brains and then we try to get it on paper and we get really frustrated somewhere in the middle. And I don't want you to get frustrated. And speaking of frustrated, I've said it like 6 times now. Are you feeling a little bit less of that? You know, just hanging out with me, watching this, listening to me jabber on about sketching. If you are, please go ahead and give this video a boop. A boop is a like in watercolor land, and I gotta tell you, it really helps out my channel. Now, kind of on that same topic, if you are a little bit confused and you need some clarification on some of these points that I've made, I would love for you to go ahead and get in the comment section. I do my best to answer as many comments as I can, but I'll tell you what, if I'm not answering them, someone down there is. This community is awesome. So here's what I want you to do. When you found that beautiful subject matter to paint, whether it's a leaf or a flower, I want you to think about the top 3 moments of that subject matter that really thrill you, and then try to include those, nothing else. All right, let's take a look at this peachy leaf at this point, and I am very near done. Spoiler alert. I've chosen to really show off some splashes where the yellow kind of interrupts the peach with a wet on wet technique. And now I'm really focusing on those kind of splotchy moments on the left side of the leaf. And that's really where I'm going to wrap it up. I'm not trying to bring forth any of the realistic folds or divots in the leaf. No, none of that, nothing else. Just those 2 beautiful moments. And I don't know about you, but I think that is more than enough. I want to hear what you think. Head into comments and let me know. Do you feel like this needed more to feel more accomplished? Or are you feeling like it's just what it needs to be? All right, my last tip, number 5. I know I mentioned something earlier being the most important, but I think this one is actually it. Erase no more. Erasers are evil because they put your brain potentially into this loop of correction. Try it again, correction, try it again. And like I mentioned earlier, before you know it, you almost have a hole in your paper. So what I want you to do is take all of the previous tips, 1 through 4, and put them into action using some type of drawing tool that cannot be erased. And that slowdown will beautifully help you to see more simply, translate those basic shapes, figure out that good view, that top-down angle. Slowing down will help you understand exactly what you need, and most importantly, the details you absolutely don't, to make your piece convincing. All right, who's ready to slow down?